A very good afternoon from wherever you are watching us. Here is the People's Bench, your number one show, political show. We bring it to you the way it is. If it is white, we say it is white. If it is black, we say it is black. If the government has done something good, we say they have done something good. And if they have not done anything good, we say they are yet to do anything. And that is all that we bring to you on your number one political show, The People's Bench. We are coming to you live from Game Suits here in Riverside, Nairobi. And today, your host, Fred Ogweno, privileged to be joined by one of our very fiery political commentators, Mwalimu Odoyo Owidi. Now, let me allow him to introduce himself, then we pick it from there. Karibu sana Mwalimu, how are you?
Did you say, if it is white, we say it is white?
Yes, if it is white, we say it is white.
So this is the black and white show.
Black and white show. No sugar coating.
You know the advantage of saying things as they are, yes, and saying the truth.
Yes.
You do not need to remember what you said.
And that has been your problem for a very long time.
Because if you lie, you'll have to remember nilisema uongo aje.
Yes.
How did I lie? Yes. So that next time,
yes,
I repeat the same thing.
Yes.
But the truth, you just leave it at that. It will germinate into a tree of truthfulness.
Yes.
So to my viewers, my name is Odoyo Owidi. Currently, I'm the chairman of Lectura South Waterworks Development Agency and a council member of the UDA in Homa Bay County. And of course, a supporter of President William Ruto and his government, not just him.
And you're not afraid of saying that?
No. I have, you see, when you want to evaluate performance, don't evaluate performance of anyone in isolation. Look at the other people who had held the same role and how did they do it. That's fairness. Apple and apple compare.
Yes. Are you proud of being serving in President Ruto's government at the time when everybody is, saying that the country is not going in the right direction?
I am very proud. You know, the many people who are saying the country is not going in the right direction or President William Ruto is misgoverning are people who are incapable of doing what is called evaluation. Remember, I'm also a teacher by profession, and there is something called measurement and evaluation. There is also something called comparison. There's also something called what was the entry level? How are we now years later? Those are things you use to judge somebody. We are judging President William Ruto in isolation. We don't even want to look back and say those who held that position before him, how did they perform? Today we are saying President William Ruto has lied, he has not kept his promises, he has not performed as... What did we do in the past? Did we compare him with his predecessor? I am not saying that two wrongs make a right. What I am saying, you don't punish me if you didn't punish my predecessor. What you do with me is correct me. And tell me that we didn't correct your predecessor because we were not enlightened enough. But I'm very proud with the performance of President William Ruto. I know you remember, during the last regime, we had something called the Big Four Agenda. The Big Four Agenda had housing, industrialization, which was manufacturing, it had universal health care, and it had something else here. Housing, universal health care, and manufacturing. This one more I will tell you when I remember. Those ones were not only promised, but something like universal health care was launched, but it never saw the light of day. And I never had anybody say, President Uhuru Kenyatta is a liar. President Uhuru Kenyatta is an underperformer. So when we now come to President William Ruto and everybody is out there saying he's a liar, he's an underperformer, what I read is mischief. What I read is a group that has come out and have decided to rally Kenyans into making sure they paint President William Ruto as dirty as possible. And I remember yesterday he said, hey, you guys, there is kuna pepo ya criticize. That means everything and anything is brilliant, even one that has not been implemented, for people to see how well it is going to come out. For example, the vaccination of animals. Somebody is already saying But funny things about it, without investigations, without any observation. So it means there is somebody somewhere who has decided that is going to demonize the president. But I will not be afraid to tell you that in this country since 1963, there is one community that has always remained within the presidency. If they are not the president, they are the vice president or deputy president. And since the promulgation of the new constitution, they have always been the president. It is natural, it is possible that they are feeling cold and they can't handle being out of the presidency. And some of them were mischievous. The rest of that community are very good people who believe Kenya is for us all and we must share its resources equitably, including the presidency itself. But there are others who can't do that. There are others who have decided that they are going to gang up, they are going to group, and they are going to ensure everything the president attempts to do is criticized and painted as bad. And I will tell you why I say that when we come to specific cases, because I know you are also very fiery more than me. So it's going to be a battle of wits.
That is why I like you, Mwalimu, because you say it the way it is.
Yes.
And this has been, it has been part of the reasons why in some areas people have labeled you a traitor for the reasons that are best known to themselves. But again, you say that President Ruto has done a lot. Let's take, for example, the issue of affordable housing. Why force Kenyans with affordable housing if Kenyans are saying that we don't want it? You know, so if the president himself came out and said that the problem is communication, if Kenyans are saying that we do not want affordable housing, I mean, why force Kenyans to live inside those houses if they don't want them?
The masses will not want any form of development that first takes money from them that they were not paying before. But I want us to go back and say, we built the standard gauge railway and a tax was introduced called the railway levy. And they never made a noise. And from time to time, tax levels increase. And I have not seen this type of noise. That is why I said the type of noise we are experiencing today is sponsored. There are people behind it. You know, one time when we were doing the Gen Z thing, I told you this Gen Z thing is not organic. It reminds me of the days when we used to do politics and you go to a function and you hear a small group begin to heckle you from one corner, then the rest join in. These ones who are joining in think it is organic, think it is natural, thinks it is well thought out. But those people were actually paid to do that, or facilitated to do that, or as people call it in my mother tongue, kiwanja imetibiwa.
Mwalimu, are you saying that the people of the mountain, if I get you right,
yes,
that the people of the mountain are the ones who are behind all the predicaments of President William Ruto, just because they are not in the government after a very long period?
I want to make it very clear, it is not entirely the people. It is not the holoi polloi in the mountain. It is the leaders who are from there. And even those leaders who are from there, there's one particular leader who has brought them together and said, as we can't do with such a person. Why I made this conclusion, I listened very carefully to the deliberations that took place at the Limuru Tree. If you listen, and I know 3/4 of the statements that were made there were made in the vernacular, but I have several clips translated. And there is one particular one that I have kept very safely. When a lady was saying, if we take this power, nobody else outside our community will touch it again. Listen to that. That is uncalled for, is unnecessary, is unfounded. It is not good for a country where there are many communities like Kenya. And if you look at history, in 1966, there was the first Limuru Conference that was meant to block Jaramogi from taking power in Kenya after Kenyatta. Fast forward to 2012, same month, there was another Limuru 2 that was meant to prevent Raila Odinga from taking over from Mwai Kibaki, despite the fact that he literally helped Mwai Kibaki onto his seat. The same way Jomo helped, Jaramogi helped Jomo onto his seat. Fast forward to this year, there was now the Limuru Tree that was meant to remove President William Ruto from power. That is called conniving. These people have to be talked to by their own leaders. Actually, the ordinary Kikuyu is generally a good man. But there are some people there who believe it is only them who can lead or no one. When President Uhuru Kenyatta was leading us in his second term, I want you to remember that it is President Uhuru Kenyatta who first called Ruto Tanga Tanga. That is the first time we heard there was a difference within the presidency. It is Uhuru who fired the first shot. After that, we realized that he was now leaning towards Raila Odinga. He was abandoning his own best man, President William Ruto, a man he said will have to take 10 years after him. What changed? Did he come to communicate with the Kenyans and tell them, I'm no longer interested in President William Ruto, I want things to change? No. What he was trying to do, he was not rejecting President William Ruto because President William Ruto is a bad man. And he was not picking on Raila Odinga because Raila Odinga was suddenly a good man, a man he once called Mungoroki. No. He was doing all this for himself because he wanted to remain in power. How did he want to remain in power? He wanted to become an executive prime minister as Raila Odinga becomes ceremonial president. He had realized Raila Odinga had no capacity to defeat William Ruto, the then DP, both financially and support-wise. So, to bring Raila Odinga to an upper level, he went to him and said, I want to make you president of the Republic of Kenya. For one thing, we will change the constitution so that we have a prime minister who will be appointed by parliament and who will then appoint the cabinet. So, Uhuru Kenyatta wanted to remain head of government, but now by a different name, the prime minister instead of the president. So he brought in the so-called BBI. The BBI was supposed to introduce more MP seats so that when he goes to parliament to be elected, he had a good number. Remember, Raila Odinga's backyard was to have only about 2 or 3 new seats. His was to have almost 30. The rest of Kenya was to have another 30. So that was to ensure that he will be automatically elected the executive prime minister. Now, when it failed, courtesy of the effort and fight back by President William Ruto, he stopped supporting Raila Odinga. And Raila Odinga did not know that Uhuru Kenyatta had stopped supporting him. They were no longer going to go to Mount Kenya, where Uhuru had promised he would take him to Mount Kenya to campaign. They were instead now going to bars to take a drink and say, this is the last time you are going to drink as an ordinary citizen. You see what I'm talking about? It is not something you didn't watch. It is something you also observed. It's only that you didn't interpret it the way I'm doing it for you. So now, we are going to the elections. We have not campaigned with Uhuru Kenyatta in Mount Kenya. He has not helped us in any way. And we are in Bomas counting votes. What did we see? Tulichapwa na polisi ndugu yangu. Until we wondered if Uhuru was still the president, the person who was supporting us. Hii kiboko yote ya polisi. So, for a moment we were wondering if Uhuru was still the president or he had resigned. So he stopped supporting Raila. Why? Because he believed if he supported Raila to become the president, under this current constitution without the one he was bringing through the BBI, it would be very difficult to remove Raila midway or in any way. Because Raila has a very vibrant following, a group of people who can put this country or town to a standstill. But President William Ruto's backyard, there are very few in the city. So removing them using a coup the type Gen Z's tried was not possible. Then this is what happened. After the elections, and now Raila Odinga was now William Ruto was firmly and squarely the president. Raila Odinga started what we called maandamanos, open the server. And who was supporting him? Uhuru Kenyatta and his Jubilee Brigade. And one of the things he was supporting, that the server be opened. He was president. He should have opened the server even before Ruto was sworn in. Why didn't he do that? What he was trying to do was to ensure that Ruto and Raila were enemies that would not see eye to eye. So that one day they bring this civilian coup by the Gen Zs, Raila Odinga would be firing from their side. Unfortunately, they miscalculated. The things they were demanding, like the cost of living. You remember before you went for elections, unga was already 250. Before we went for election, fuel was 250 a liter petrol, and it was not even available. Personally, when I was going to my home, my last days of campaigns, I used to carry mitungi ya mafuta, which I had bought for 250, because it wasn't even there. Now, these were the same things now. These very axes were supporting the people to go on the streets to correct. So, we have to tell the truth like I'm telling now, so that the Kenyans understand what they are going through. They may think people are making noise because Ruto is suddenly bad. No. People are making noise because somebody is pushing them to make noise. Somebody is gaslighting them to make noise. This is the noise you are seeing. This noise was not there even when Uhuru did the exact wrong things Ruto is doing today. When we were doing the expressway, it was PPP like the one we were trying to do for the airport. It didn't go through anything that the public knew, not even public participation. But today we are being told that Adani deal should have gone through public participation. It should have gone even through procurement. But I told them, look here, my brothers and sisters. PPP, the Act of 2021, has what is called PIP, privately initiated proposal. That one doesn't need to go, because if I propose to you that, my brother, hii shamba yako umewacha hapa, it's just the bird singing on it, I can lima it and share with you the proceeds. Or now, these monkeys that are eating your goats that are here will run away. That will be your benefit. But for me, I will be taking the proceeds from it, selling and returning my money which I have used to lima your shamba. That is a public-private partnership. And if I am the public and you are the private, if I am the private and you are the public, that is what we do. That is the kind of system we have in the 2021 PP Act. That was used by Adani. They proposed that this airport of yours, the way inanyeshewa na mvua, the way the service is poor, this is what we can do like we did in another airport elsewhere.
Even without transparency?
What is the transparency?
Kenyans are asking that we have no problem with Adani. But if Adani is that good, why did Adani enter Kenya through the back door, or rather through the window, instead of coming through the gate, where Kenyans would have been given proper information, proper knowledge that this is what is taking place, until it takes some Kenyans, some Kenyan outside the country,
yes,
who passes that information to Kisii Senator,
yes,
Honorable Nyonka,
yes,
who later on informs Parliament and Kenyans. If Adani is that good, then why all the secrecy?
We have agreed that we are going to be black and white, not gray.
Yes.
So I don't want to hear things like backdoor window, because hii backdoor ya Kenya iko pande gani? Mimi hata pia nitumie siku moja. There is nothing like backdoor. When I told you what PIP is, privately initiated proposal, it's privately. When I'm going to propose, there is not going to be public participation there. What public participation can be is, we want to change now the management at the airport. That can now go through public participation. But before we come there, I want you to understand something. Because I told you, before you accuse me, let us have comparison. Am I doing something that has not been accepted in the past? Now. But if it has been accepted in the past, until you come and tell me we no longer want to accept this, then I can't change. We did the expressway the same way. And you know now, the private entity that did the expressway under PPP is now collecting money from us Kenyans to pay what he used. And then he was also going to improve the airport, do the revenue collection there to pay his money that he'll use to improve the airport. Same thing, airport and expressway. Expressway was done under Uhuru. Exactly those who are accusing Ruto of not having done, Uhuru also did not do them. The Catholic Church was in existence. The Gen Zs were in existence. Onyonka was in existence. Why didn't they say anything? That is why I'm telling you, some people have been gaslighted to do this. Some people, Onyonka was a very key figure in the Gen Z uprising, in inciting the Gen Z. And there are other names that I'm not afraid to say, like Miguna, like Mutunga, all of them. They were there holding political rallies online every evening with hundreds of thousands of people listening. It is not something that was natural. And Gen Zs were telling us how they don't have leadership, how they are tribeless, and how they are partyless. They had leadership. In fact, they had patronship in the name of Migunas, in the name of Onyonkas, in the name of Mutungas, all of them who are not Gen Zs. They were the people who were addressing those rallies. Gen Zs were not addressing them. So let us be fair to President William Ruto. If there is something we suddenly have changed, that we are no longer going to tolerate as Kenyans, let's do so, but let us not treat him like he's the only one doing wrong things. Nobody else ever did anything wrong.
In all fairness,
yes,
what triggered the Gen Z protest was as a result of the government failure to listen to the people when Kenyans were saying that we do not want finance bill. You know, remember the finance bill? And they said, no, let us sit down and look at these things. Remember all the views that came from public participation. Your president was not, our president was not listening. So are you saying that it is the Kikuyus? Are you saying that it is Onyonka who were the proponent of this finance bill?
No. Those Onyonkas and those people you're talking about were using the finance, because the finance bill will always be there every year. So they were using that. And it is the only thing you know in this country. People never accept. Nobody ever accepts any appearance of increase in taxation. Nobody ever accepts any spread of taxation to include them. That is the problem we have in this country. In fact, you are old enough to know that even in the past, every time there was a budget reading, the budget proposal, the next day the headlines will read like losers and winners. So people generally felt losers whenever a tax is a little bit increased or it is now spread to include them. And that these people who are doing the Gen Z coup knew that is the only thing that Kenyan will be unanimous to reject taxation, even when they know what the tax is going to do. Let me tell you, you or your father takes your only shamba to your neighbor to take a loan. Your neighbor now wants his money and you can't produce it. And the clause is that if you don't pay the money, he will sell all your shamba plus you inside. What do? You can deny yourself meals. You can deny yourself luxury. You can use your other assets to secure this land. What President William Ruto was trying to do, to funge mikanda, to contribute more, to clear the international loans so that we become an economically free Kenya. And this is what was not communicated properly to the people. And that I have admitted a few times, that we have lacked proper civic education coming from the government. I have admitted before, we have lacked proper communication coming from the government in the past, because we had not foreseen that there would be some people who will be hell-bent on painting the government as governing badly.
Don't you think that it goes beyond communication? When Kenyans are seeing their president hopping from one country to another like a grasshopper, when Kenyans are seeing that opulence, and excessive arrogance, like what now we are seeing Honorable Junet beginning to exude, again, it's coming back. How do you blame the government for that?
Before I even talk about Junet, opulence, when you see opulence from people and you think that is bad or you think that is your money. That is simply a factor of jealousy. Why do I call it a factor of jealousy? In this country, we had people who are stinking rich, but will wear one coat the whole month. Who are stinking rich, but will take border. And we have people who will take loans to ride in a Range Rover. In fact, I do not even agree with this law that came up that you want to look at we call it what? Not standard of living, we call it, when you want to check how I live, and you want to judge that because I live well, I have stolen. That is not right. There are thieves here who have stolen, they have taken the money, and they have bought some land in Nanyuki in somebody's name. They have bought some land in Kisumu in somebody's name. But they keep on walking in the same slippers that they used to walk before.
But they did not overtax Kenyans.
Wait a minute. Yeah. I'm saying people who have stolen. They have stolen money from you, and they have bought land in Nyeri. They have stolen money from you, and they have bought land in Kisumu. They have stolen money from you, and they still walk looking poor. The so-called lifestyle audit. It is a wrong way of finding out who has stolen. The real thieves know how to hide their money. They know. They will invest it in brick and mortar. They will invest in land somewhere and still come here and go to work on foot. And here is a person who has committed his salary to drive a Range Rover and has committed to eating mboga every day to drive a Range Rover. And you say, this guy is living a very serious lifestyle, he must have stolen. That is what I don't agree with. That is what is not acceptable. So, let us not judge people superficially from what they see. You know, somebody like you, your tie will be as expensive as... Acha tusiende huko.
I'm not in a public office. Mwalimu, let me ask you.
Yes.
Kenyans are asking that they are speaking, but the president is not listening. They are overburdened. They are overtaxed. When will the higher affinity and high appetite for taxation and overborrowing of President William Ruto come to an end?
First of all, I can't remember Ruto borrowing anything since he came to power. But, you know, Kenyans, when the newspapers report that last year the loan was 1.1 billion, 11 billion, now it is 11.5, they think Ruto has borrowed another 5 billion. People must know interest exists in this thing. People must know there are certain things that have been provided to the government and it has not paid for. They have not gone to borrow, but they are pending bills that they are yet to pay. Those one can increase the level of debt we have, locally and internationally. And people interpret it very quickly. And let me tell you, don't call it appetite for tax. I have explained to you that when you owe an external entity, for example, when you owe international community resources, and you know if you don't pay, they may sell Kenya, we may have to have an appetite for taxation to pay them. Take, for example, this country collects about 2.6 to 2.8 trillion annually. We need 1 or slightly over 1 trillion to pay external debt because it is the first charge. Then we need another 400 billion to give the counties, which they will fight you if you don't give them. Now, look at the budget for education. It's like 600 billion. Look at for the roads. Look at the budgets for all those. Don't you think we are really struggling? And recurrent expenditure in this country, in the form of salaries alone, are almost another 1 billion. We are living in a government that is struggling to make ends meet for its own children, the citizens. And these all children, the citizens, have been incited to fight the very government that is feeding them under very hard conditions. Like your mother is digging for the neighbors to come and feed you, and you are saying your mother is wasting money. There was a time I was watching another video, comedy. And this lady had run to the office of the husband and told the boss that I want you to be giving me the salary of my husband because he wastes it, he never gives it to me. So when she went to the office of the boss, the boss called her the day the salary was to be given. And now, The boss asks you, which monies should I keep so that I give you the balance? Because there are things that you must pay, like rent, like food. When the money was distributed to those must pay, it all went until he realized that the husband was actually giving him more, because the husband used to give him only 30% of the salary. But when she went to the office, the boss of the husband distributed all the money until nothing was left to even give her that 30%. So if we distribute Kenya's resources collected from you and me, you will find nothing is left for those people living in islands to steal. There will be. So let us just be fair to President William. The day you will absorb the fact that there are certain people in this country who are hating President William as an incompetent, non-listening president, you will be very good. We will be very good. This is the same President William Ruto, after he had agreed that Adani was going to be given the airport to manage, because we all know public enterprises have always failed. Sugar millers, the hotels that we used to have like Sunset, like all that, they fail because the level of theft in that is very high. And it is very difficult for the president to control certain things. So he agreed that Adani will be, due diligence will be done. And it was going on. But he was not going to say, because the people have said it is wrong, let me take it as wrong. No, he commissioned due diligence. It was being done as he insisted that Adani must continue. But when one day, when his due diligence results arrived, there was also in the United States a case where Adani was being prosecuted. Remember, in the United States, the current president-elect is a businessman, a competitor of Adani. The best friend to that president is also a businessman. You know him by name. He's also a very serious, bitter competitor to Adani. So when Adani is taken to court in the United States, you can understand where we are coming from.
I leave that to Kenyans to say thank you or not. As we move this conversation forward, tell me, why would government policies be so bad, be so pathetic, be so misconstrued and misunderstood by almost every Kenyan? Talk about the clergy, talk about the civil society. I mean, that it is only good to President Ruto and members of his team like yourself.
I want to tell you also, once again, I am taking you back. There is a team, there is a group in this country who have decided that they are going to make President William Ruto's life very difficult. Wale wako na pepo ya kupinga, the one he was talking about. And I think even the president, let me honestly say, he didn't get it wrong. These are people who want a pepo ya kupinga. These people simply don't believe another person can be president of this Republic of Kenya except them. All these things you see in churches, sijui Gen Zs, all of these people complaining about the president, including the media, are sponsored. They have been incited. I have a lot of evidence. Let me tell you, you yourself sit in a program on vernacular radio every Monday morning.
Yes.
You don't even give a chance. It is criticism one after another. The same media house has another English channel, TV, has a program, I think it is called, where journalists from different, the gang. It is even worse. Ile yenyu sasa ni mzuri. It is so the way they talk, it tells you that they are not ready to appreciate anything good. It depends on the adjectives used. And they don't even bring facts, figures and logic on the table. No. They say, why should a government be so bad? What is this that makes it so bad? That is what you want to hear. Don't tell us it's bad. You know, one time I was confronted that, Ovidi, why do you always oppose then Raila Odinga? And you seem to be saying very bad things about him, you and Meguna. And I told them, the difference between me and that person you are mentioning is that him, if he thinks for himself that you are stupid, he will call you stupid. But me, I will not call you stupid. I will just tell that stupid thing you have done, so it is upon the public to decide whether you are stupid or not. I will say, oh, wewe ulifanya hii na hii na hii, then it is upon the public to say. Me, I will not judge you. That is the difference between me and many people who criticize. I will come and say, no, this is not wrong because of ABCD. So where we come from, there is nothing President William Ruto has done or failed to do that makes it so bad. And also remember, immediately President William Ruto became president, for almost a whole year, we were in the streets. How was he expected to work? And immediately that one finished, the other axis now believed watu wa Ziwa Victoria, sasa they are now enemies to President William Ruto. Their sons have been killed in the streets. They have fought Ruto, so they will not help Ruto. Now we can remove it. So they started their Gen Z agenda. They went, used artificial intelligence. They mobilized resources. They looked for a threshold number that they can send to the streets so that the others will join in. So when they did that, they did not foresee Raila Odinga and his community siding with the president. That is what they didn't foresee. But Raila Odinga in this case was very sensible. He asked them, okay, you think President William Ruto is very bad? Yes. And you want him removed? Yes. And replace him with who? That is where the problem came.
Did you just say that Raila Odinga is was very sensible?
Yes.
Something you've never said before.
That he was sensible. Let me tell you something. We began here with you saying, when it is white, we say it is white. When it is black, we say it is white, black. So in this case, Raila Odinga is white, and I said it. What he did is the best thing a statesman can do. And we are going to plead with him to continue supporting the presidency of William Ruto the way he supported the presidency of Uhuru Kenyatta to finish his last term, the same way he supported the presidency of Mwai Kibaki to finish, the same way he backed the presidency of Daniel Arap Moi to finish. He did all that for stability. But if he pulls in the opposite side, we are not going to have a stable Kenya. And if we don't have a stable Kenya, for those years, the economy will drop to nothing. And the people who don't care about the economy dropping to nothing have enough resources to cushion them against that dropping economy. They don't care. Because however bad the economy becomes, they can still afford. Because they have resources. Don't ask me where they got them from. So what I am trying to say, and this is a message I am sending to all Kenyans, especially my brothers from the mountain. Do not listen to some of your leaders who are inherently selfish. Their intention is that they do not believe somebody else other than them can be president of Kenya. So what are they doing? They are trying to use you. They are trying to bring you into their own problems which are not yours. There is nothing President William Ruto is doing that is different from what Uhuru did, what Kibaki did, what Moi did. But if you choose that President William Ruto must do things differently, guide him into doing things differently, but must go, should not be in it. In any case, if we don't have a country where anyone can be president and be allowed to govern for 5 years before evaluation takes place, we are going to have a country that is ungovernable. And don't be cheated. Somalia is one country speaking one language with one tribe, but they still found dividing lines. So was Rwanda before Kagame. So we have to be very careful how we nurture our country into peace. We would rather be hungry in a peaceful country than be full belly in a war-torn country. That is my take.
Had it not for Raila Odinga's support,
yes,
at the height of the Gen Z demonstration,
yes,
do you think President Ruto would not be president today?
He would still be president, but we would be very unstable. Let me tell you, do not think you can fight a government that is sitting legitimately using lies and win. They will come out and point to those lies, and even if you don't agree they are lies, he will continue and you will do nothing. These things they are saying, oh, we breach parliament, is just word. You can't do. Even the people who breached parliament were 100% not Gen Z. Gen Z just walked in behind them. But they were an organized team. That was their job. In fact, I met a South African a former intelligence officer. He's a very old man. He's almost 90 now. And he said he does not understand how something that looks so clearly that it was organized, paid for, missed the Kenyan intelligence system. He can't believe it. And he's ready to come to Kenya and tell Kenyans what exactly happened, even though he was not in Kenya. But his own investigation has revealed that there was a small number of Gen Zs who were mobilized and who were brainwashed into starting and moving on with this thing. And then the others would join because, of course, they knew they will be talking about things that matter to everyone. Things that matter to all of us, like taxation, like the cost of living. One would think that the cost of living began with President William Ruto. It did not. It began way before. So let us agree that President William Ruto will remain the president of Kenya. If there is anything we want him to do differently, we will ask him to do differently. But do not tell me that because the churches are talking, the Gen Zs are talking, they have been made to talk. They have been hired to talk. First of all, if there is any people I don't have respect for, it is the Catholic bishops.
What do you say?
I have no respect. I am a Catholic, born, baptized, confirmed, and even wedded in the Catholic Church. But I have no respect for them. When my brother died in the year 2005, he was a Catholic, born, baptized, and bred in the Catholic Church. But because he had not gone to church since he was elected, they said they could not have his burial mass presided over by a Catholic priest or in the Catholic Church. What is that? This Catholic Church, there is nothing they will ever do for free. Even praying for the dead, you will pay. I am a member of that church. And somebody told me, when you talk about like that about church, would they excommunicate you? They can excommunicate me from church, but not from heaven. Because that very church has some bishops who have been charged with defiling, with sodomizing, let's not even use defiling, sodomizing boys. People who are ordained. So let the public not walk thinking when somebody wears a robe, when somebody wears the thing we call in my language odeo, that one, then he's holy. No, they are human beings like everybody else, and they commit crimes. They can be bribed. They can be induced to do these things they are doing.
That is right. But you just realized this, or your government is only realizing this when they are now opposing the policies of the government. When they were campaigning for you, they were not that bad. When they gave you the pulpit, I mean, when you walked in with money in sacks, they were good.
Oh, my brother.
When did they become that bad?
In 2019, in Kiambu, St. Francis of Assisi, President Uhuru Kenyatta gave the Catholic Church 3 million and promised them another 5. The Catholic bishops these very ones were there. Why didn't they return the money? And they are telling me they are returning the money because they believe President William Ruto's money has come from bad sources. Where did Uhuru's come from? Uhuru is the one whose family owns almost a whole province in form of land. And there's no record where they bought it. So even that land of theirs is a proceed of corruption. So if Uhuru's resources were proceed of corruption and the Catholic Church accepted it, they must accept President William Ruto's. There are many people in those churches, even after they have been taken to court for certain crimes related to corruption, they still go and give Sadaka in the Catholic Church and it is taken. It is only President William Ruto's they rejected. A man who has never been to court to be told that you stole this money and is convicted. So that is why I tell you, these people have been induced. These people have been, let's be brutal, they have been bribed.
The church has come out, not just the Catholic Church, even the...
It doesn't matter. Anybody, any church member in any church can take bribes. It doesn't have to be a Catholic.
They have come out and they are saying, no, forgive us, we are repentant, we danced with the devil. We did not know. It's when now they are realizing that, the man they thought Was God chosen? Remember in 2020 to propagate lies. I mean, the church saying that the lie is too much.
Read the book of Samuel, 2 Samuel chapter 7, you will find where King David collected resources, including his own donations, and he was supported by Nathan, the then prophet of God, like the bishops, to do that to God. He built the first temple using his son Solomon. And Nathan did not tell him, don't do anything for God. So it is the church that is supposed to help elect correct leaders, like Samuel anointed Saul. And the same Samuel came and went to the home of Jesse to anoint David. This David is the one who built the temple. So it means as the government bring resources, government leaders, to build churches, the church leaders should be helping the people to appoint correct leaders. That is what is in the Bible, not this thing they are doing here. Not what they are saying here. They are not there to criticize the government. And the Bible demands that they must also respect Caesar. And Caesar is the government. So, this, let me tell you, the assumption in the people of Kenya and especially Africa is that when somebody wears a robe, when somebody is called a bishop, when somebody is called a priest, a pastor, and so they are holy. Those people are not holy. We have seen pastors who have been arrested and jailed for criminal offenses. We have seen pastors even who have murdered. So they are the same as us.
Those are exceptional cases.
They are exceptional cases. Even as we have exceptional cases who are cleaner than those pastors. Those pastors are a pick from our society. And if our society is full of thieves, conmen, and criminals, so are the group of pastors picked from us.
What if they cast you and you are president?
Huh?
Do you think you will win 2027
If
elections? If they cast you and you are president, like...
those cases don't work. They would have cast one of their own who was found defiling boys. They didn't cast him. Why would they cast anybody? Those cases also don't work when they are not fair. When you fairly cast me for a serious offense I have committed, it will work. But when you cast me because you don't hate me because I'm not your church or your tribe, it will not work. That is the truth.
Thank you. Briefly, let's move this conversation forward. I want us to briefly speak about Rigiji, the truthful man. I mean, he started by telling the people of the mountain, telling the ground, telling Uhuru Kenyatta that the ground is shifting, and during that time it was good. I mean, a time came when he decided to tell President Uhuru that, look, Mr. President, you are not with the people. You are taking a wrong direction. That is according to him. I mean, and now we've seen your government pushes him aside, is now being impeached. And the ground is really, the mountain is receding towards the top.
Mm.
You know, are you not afraid that this truthful man is...
Forget about Gen Z. In fact, calling Gen Z a truthful man is to get it wrong, is to misinterpret what you see and hear. Rigiji is not a truthful man. He is a brazen man. A brazen man is a man who would say something ordinary people would be too embarrassed to say. Like to come and tell Kenyans that, you see, this country is a corporate where people hold shares. So some people from the mountain have more shares than some people from the lake. That is what he was telling us. And you see, I had even lawyers come to parliament to argue that actually Rigiji was just saying what was done. People signed. Even, what was his name? Mudavadi and Wetangula signed shares 30%. There was nothing like that. The signatures that were put by Wetangula and Mudavadi and whoever else was representing UDA was between political entities, between political formations, and that is in the Constitution. But when you want to do this between tribes, between regions, that is illegal even by the Kenyan Constitution. So we must be very clear. Rigiji was dividing people along tribal and regional lines. The Constitution has divided people along political party formation, which is accepted. This party versus that party accepted. But this region versus this region, this community versus this community, the way Rigiji was doing is wrong, is illegal, and that is why he was impeached. He was not impeached because President William Ruto didn't like him. In any case, President William Ruto didn't impeach him. It is Parliament which impeached him because he had broken the Constitution.
Did he try to overthrow President William Ruto?
Yes, he did.
Come on.
This is the man purely behind the Gen Z revolution. This is the man purely behind the Limuru 3 conference. This is the man who told us that he could tell President William Ruto anything, but we never had him say anything wrong against Ruto until he was impeached. How truthful is that? How honest is that? So let us not be cheated by rhetoric and pep talk. It can't work. So, Rigiji is a self-serving man. When it was right for him to think Uhuru was a bad man and Raila was a very bad man, he did it. When suddenly thinks he needs Uhuru's support because he has broken up with President William Ruto, he now suddenly thinks Uhuru is a good man. How truthful is that? How honest is that? So, it's only that the public are incapable of judging people by their actions and statements. We need to look at Rigiji's actions and statements. He's not fit to lead anybody. In fact, he can be the worst dictator you can ever see because he's brazen. That is it.
Supported President William Ruto. He made him president.
You think so?
You did not know that?
The only person I know made another president was Jomo, making Kenyatta, and Raila making Kibaki. Anybody else didn't make anybody president, they just supported. And let me tell you, Rigiji is a creation of William Ruto. It is William Ruto who gave the mounted a man called Rigiji. They did not even put it even number 10 in the pecking order of who was supposed to be the kingpins in Central Province. But at that point in time, because of the heat of the politics and campaign at that time, President William Ruto needed somebody who is brazen enough to face the Uhuru-Raila axis, and he got Rigiji to do it.
Do you think that by impeaching him, removing him from office, President Ruto has reduced Rigiji to his proper size?
Don't go there. It is not President William Ruto who has impeached Rigiji. He may have supported this impeachment or agreed with this impeachment, but he did not do it. It is Parliament and Senate that did it. Let's get it there. That is the fact. And let me tell you, if we left Rigiji, you know, if you are my best man and you take me to marry my beautiful wife, and then kumbe, I think you are my friend, you're going to make a good best man, kumbe, you are also hiring this lady. As soon as I get married and she's in the house, when I leave, you come and whisper words in her ears. When I discover you, friendship ends there and you go. When President William Ruto wanted to be president of Kenya, he looked for a man who could help him secure the presidency. And he thought Rigiji would make a good man. Kumbe, this guy was also eyeing the presidency through a shortcut. It can't work. And let me tell you, he's coming from a place where people have gone leadership through shortcuts in the past. You remember the deaths in Nyeri governorship, which made their deputies governor. And I think he looked at that, he admired it, he discovered the guy didn't spend anything but became a governor for 5-year full terms. And I think he admired that. And he thought he could use a coup, the style of Gen Zs. What was Rigiji doing in Mombasa when Parliament was being breached? You think that is a coincidence? I've heard you on TV tell people that political actions, political statements are never by accident. You said it. Maybe the language you used was different from mine.
It was a different show.
The truth must remain here and in the other show. Tell me.
Oh my, I love it. Let's move forward again. Is Luo Nyanza in opposition? I mean, is opposition in government, or government is in opposition? Or, I mean, what is what? Where?
My brother, it's good you mentioned Luo Nyanza and not ODM or anything else. The Luo are in government. In any case, even legally, let's forget about politics for the time being. Legally, all Kenyans are supposed to have a chance to be in government, work for the government, support the government, and be supported by government. Politically, we are now in government. Because whenever you go to an election, you are going to an election so that you win and form the government. So that you win and be in government if you are just an MP or an MCA. Because an MP and an MCA are employees of the government, paid money by the government, receiving resources from the government on behalf of their people. And so is governors and senators. They are in government if they win. People go for elections to win and be in government. And here is a community that their people are saying they are not in government, yet the people telling them they are not in government are earning government salary, moving around with government resources. Some of them receiving money from the government on behalf of their people, but they keep on telling the people, you are not in government because we don't have an agreement. My brother, if I am a Kenyan, why should I have an agreement with the government to be part of it? And it is a government of Kenya and I'm Kenyan. The only agreement I have with the government to be in government is my ID as a Kenyan. It's evidence that I also pay taxes. That is what I need. I don't need an MOU. I don't need an agreement. I don't need a handshake. I am Kenyan. And let me tell you also, if we go and look at it on the flip side, you find that even a person whose mother was found by the river, by a suitor like they used to do in our village long time ago, and was pulled into a marriage she didn't accept, and started living there, and is born and a brilliant man, is saying, because we do not have a formal agreement, we are not in government. You are not in government and your mother didn't have an agreement with your father and his wife. Let us be honest. The truth of the matter is, the Luo are in government and President William Ruto has offered members of the Luo community the best CS positions they have ever seen in their lives, and has offered the best positions in government. Every time they are gazetted notices, this one even before Rigiji was impeached, even before we claim to have been now formal in government, we used to see names of Luos there every time, meaning that President William Ruto meant well to the Luo community. A Luo had never been a finance minister. Yet the communities now that are opposing have been there half of the time there has been a finance minister in this country. A Luo is now an attorney general, energy minister, for the second time PS Interior.
Are they changing the life?
And we have the largest number of Luos as chairmen of parastatals that have never been seen before. And yet this is a community that never even voted for President William Ruto. And then somebody who fears competition from these people Ruto has put in his government is coming to tell the masses that, you know, we are not in government because we have no formal agreement. They once had a formal agreement with Mwai Kibaki. How long did they last in Kibaki's government? Less than 2 years. They again went for a agreement. MOU alikuwa na Kibaki. Now a constitutional amendment to entrench them in government. What did they get? They suffered. They kept complaining. Mara the carpet in Nusu. Mara we are not given this project. Mara we have not been given this. I listened to another statement recently. I was talking to one of my very good friends.
As my director is reminding me that
he told me that when as an MP, he used to push for some roads to be done in his area. He pushed them for 10 years, they were never done. But when he became finance minister, he just used his signature and they are being done. There's now money. Because these MPs who sometimes come to Luos and tell us, oh, we are the ones who are appropriating the budget, so let nobody cheat you that the government, they appropriate budget in blocks. The Ministry of Roads, 600 billion. But when it comes now to disbursing, all of it goes to Kiambu. So let us be factual to our people. Let us not use our selfish ends that because we fear competing with these people, President William Ruto has welcomed his government, we must cheat our people that we are not in government. Let the people of Nyanza the people of Lake Victoria, the people of Kenya know that they are all in government and they all stand equal chances of benefiting from that government, of getting appointments in that government, of getting business from that government. And that is my take. Yes.
Tell me, as we conclude, you think President Ruto is going to win 2027 or is a one-term president?
President William Ruto is going to win 2027, and the winning stroke is the success of the new universal health scheme.
You believe so?
It is, that thing is going to be so perfect that Kenyans are going to wonder why they used to hold a rambace for health. Let me tell you, every time my villagers were sick, they would run, oh, nilipie hii, oh, nibaie hii. This time they are going to be treated. Even chronic diseases. Today, you pay, you register today, you get treatment. Those days you wait for how many months? So we are going to get it right.
Thank you. I want you to look at this camera as we conclude and speak to that young Kenyan who has lost hope, that young Kenyan who thinks that life is coming to an end, who has been looking for this job that your government has been creating and never comes, who thinks that the world is coming to an end. I just want you to look at this, even as we are closing the year, in the next few weeks. Give that hope as a parent, as a teacher, as somebody who works in government. Inspire that hope. They have not had for quite some time.
I honestly do not want to just to give them hope. I simply want to tell them the truth.
Tell them.
Because hope you can even give somebody with a lie. The truth of the matter today, President William Ruto means well. He's the most competent president we are yet to have in this country. The only thing we have had people who have all gone out to ensure that they speak negativity against his name. Kenya is going to be prosperous under President William Ruto because we need to look at the development indices that we have in this country. First of all, inflation has come down from 9.6 to 2.7. For people who don't understand inflation, what it really means, it simply means the rate at which prices of things are increasing. It is no longer increasing at 9.6, it is now increasing at 2.7. That is how to understand it. And that is a fact on books, on paper, and in the mouth. 2, the biggest problem in this country has been healthcare. And even President Uhuru tried to give us universal healthcare and failed. Today, President William Ruto has got it and is now implementing it, and it will work. The teething problems of anything when it is new, notwithstanding. There was a time here, a list was going on to depict President William Ruto as a tribalist. And that list had only the people from President's community. Along on the side of the list, they never showed us the list showing the members in government from other communities. When I tried to write it down, I got one community was twice in government more than President's community. Yes, I have the list still with me. So, one thing I need to tell my people, all this noise you are hearing is not because President William Ruto is a bad president. The noise you are hearing is because somebody has decided to negatively campaign against President William Ruto because they don't believe President William Ruto in time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It has been wonderful having Odoyo with him on the show. Like I rightfully said it, that he said it the way it is one. He's one person that when you have him on the bench, you don't know what he gonna say the next time, because he says it the way it is. It has been a very wonderful evening. Your host Fred Ogweno bringing to you your #1 political show, The People's Bench. We say it the way it is. Thank you so much, Mwalimu. We do it next time. We've been coming
to you, brother,
live from Riverside. There is a Game 6 here in Riverside. Thank you so much, Mwalimu, and I wish you a very happy Christmas and Happy New Year. God willing, we'll do it again next
Thank
year.
you, brother.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, Mwalimu. Thank you.